Now in front of the camera, in front of the brand new 2024 Mazda CX-90 is the president of Mazda North America, Jeff Guyton. Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for taking time with us.
So this is a brand new car for 2024. It replaces the CX-9 and it is even bigger than that car. Mm-hmm. Who do you see as its competition?
Well, you know, CX-9 was an outstanding driver's car, like CX-90, but the knock on CX-9 was always that it wasn't big enough to compete in that segment. People wanted more room, people wanted more cabin space, people wanted 8 seats instead of 7 or 6, and so we needed to have a bigger product for the US market, and CX-90 fits that bill really well.
And do you see this as a mainstream product, or do you see it as a premium product? Is this going against the Honda Pilot, or is this going against the Acura MDX as an example?
So I think I want to distinguish what we mean by premium. So premium in our minds is about the experience. It's the experience of the car, it's also the experience in the dealership and all the interactions that you may have with the brand, rather than a luxury price point. So we anticipate and hope to get an unfair share of a pretty big segment in the US that appeals to a wide variety of customers who are interested in 3 rows.
Now, this car has a longitudinally mounted engine.
Yes.
It's going to have rear-wheel drive biased all-wheel drive. It has a double wishbone front suspension. It's got a lot of ingredients that cater to the enthusiast. Mm-hmm. But the enthusiast is not the volume buyer in this product. So how do you balance between having that driver engagement, that driver focus, mm-hmm. and just the broader consumer interests?
You know, if you look at MX-5, or if you look at CX-5, or any of the products that that Mazda sells, you know, we talk about something called Jinbaitai. It's Japanese for horse and rider, one body. And that's the ethos that we have across our whole range. So it doesn't matter whether you're an enthusiast or an enthusiastic amateur, you're going to feel different in a Mazda because of that philosophy.
While the layout and the chassis is a very promising thing, and that engagement is good, there's also the powertrain side of it. You're offering 2 different powertrains, mm-hmm. both of them hybrid. You have a mild hybrid inline 6 mm-hmm. and a plug-in hybrid 4-cylinder. What were some of the decisions that drove you to those 2 powertrains?
So one of the things, I mean, mounting the engine longitudinally gives us vehicle dynamics that really we think should epitomize this horse and rider as one. And the rear-wheel drive bias as well. And the combination of those 2 gave us some unique proportions for the body that make it look beautiful. But coming back to the powertrains, you know, the inline 6, we wanted to be able to deliver the right amount of power for people in this segment. And really that gives us a great opportunity with all those other things together. That gives us the ability to deliver that power. And it also, because of the longitudinal nature, gives us the length we wanted to offer the plug-in hybrid as well in the same package. So that gave us the space to provide that combination.
That was a notice and stark difference in specifications when you look at the CX-5 having up to 250 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque on premium fuel, to jump 90 horsepower mm-hmm. on premium fuel with the inline 6, mm-hmm. and still, you know, a healthy jump for the plug-in hybrid as well. Mm-hmm. That was a noticeable change right away. That it's a big increase there. It's also an increase in gears, going from a 6-speed to an 8-speed. Mm-hmm. But there's another thing that you mentioned that I actually want to touch on. I was surprised in this particular version of the CX-90 that we're looking at right now that it only seats 6. I was expecting 7. Mm-hmm. You have, obviously, your 2 seats in front. You had captain chairs in the second row, 2 seats in the rear. Mm-hmm. But as you said, there will be versions that seat up to 8. What was the motivation to give that level of variation in seating?
So I think, the captain's chairs was a relatively recent add to the CX-9, and people love it. And so offering a model with captain's chairs and offering a model with a bench is easy in the segment. That's an easy logic. But it's just going to depend on customer choice.
One more powertrain question. Standard all-wheel drive? That's not true across the brands. Many brands offer front-wheel drive only options. That does tend to improve fuel economy a little bit and take some price out. Why did Mazda decide that all of their CX-90s will be all-wheel drive?
So, a couple of years ago, we made the switch on CX-5 and CX-30 also to be all-wheel drive. There are business benefits to having fewer specifications for us, but the real motivation was with our particular flavor of all-wheel drive technology. We think that the car actually behaves more in that Jinbaitai feeling, and gives us that capability, and also improves safety in various weather conditions. So that's really what's behind the all-wheel drive.
From a styling point of view, to me, this looks most similar to the Mazda, the new from last year, the Mazda CX-50. Would you say that this is a design language that we should see in more and more Mazdas as they're revealed?
Yeah, I think all of our products now live that sort of Kodo soul of motion philosophy. And something interesting about all Mazdas is that we think about the technology in the paint. I think you saw the demonstration of light and shadow with this particular beautiful color, Artisan Red. We do something that maybe not too many other brands do, maybe nobody else, which is that the shape of the vehicle, the shape of the metal, and the technology in the paint are designed to work together. I think my experience in the industry is most people design the vehicle, most companies design the vehicle and then paint it. Our design and our paint are meant to work together to give this, we call soul of motion, but feeling aliveness of the vehicle when it's going down the street.
Looking at the interior, I saw a very widescreen center console touchscreen. I saw a fully digital instrument cluster, and it seemed to me a generally rather minimalist approach to interior design. What is the highlight of the interior that you want to make sure that we know about?
So I think the spacious feeling of the interior is really what we're trying to get at. Of course, you can look at any of our vehicles from the Mazda 3, CX-5, CX-50, all of them, one of the elements of our design language is design by subtraction. So a friend of mine ordered a car from a different brand and was saying to me, there are just a whole lot of unresolved lines that, I could get this car and I bought it for some reasons, but the design, just a lot of unresolved lines. And, our design language includes this concept of design by subtraction. Don't put a lot of moldings on the vehicle, not a lot of character lines, but provide an aliveness through this combination of paint and stamping technology.
Well, I will tell you that at first look, I am also impressed with the design language and impressed by the sheer size of it. I did not find the CX-9 to be smaller than the competition, in actuality at least. And this has a very hard to miss presence. It's very wide and it's very imposing in a positive sense, and I'm very excited to drive these new powertrains. My final question is, given all that, what are your goals for this car?
Well, I think the segment that we're coming to with this vehicle is not quite as big as the segment where CX-5 competes, but it's one of the biggest segments in the industry now. It's also going to grow. I'm a little bit shy given all the constraints on chips and other things to actually talk about an actual volume target, but I do expect, given the capabilities of this vehicle and its tremendous design, we'll get our unfair share of sales in that segment.
And I lied, one more question. Is there anything else that you think we need to know about this brand new CX-90?
Well, I think I'd just come back to the artisan red color. It is maybe the latest expression of some really quite sophisticated paint technology that we have. And you know, one other beautiful thing about it is that a lot of the CO2 that's released in car manufacturing is released because or by virtue of the paint booth.
Really?
And painting a primer coat and drying the car. And the drying uses energy. So you paint the primer, dry it. Put the color coat on, dry it. Put the clear coat on, dry it. Mazda has unique technology we call wet on wet on wet.
Interesting.
We don't dry the car between steps, and so we bypass all of that energy and only dry it at the end.
That's a fantastic, so that it gets at the global actual carbon footprint of a car, not just the emissions from the tailpipe.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Well, Mr. Guyton, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate learning about this, and I am honestly very excited to get behind the wheel of this sometime soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.